Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Hello. Yes.
Hi, all right, great. So let's begin today's session. Back neck straight, close the eyes, and start observing your breath. Just watch the natural flow of breath as you inhale and as you exhale. And when you feel ready, slowly begin to deepen your breath. Calming the body and the mind. And prepare yourself for chanting Om. Body is stable, mind is relaxed. Inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibration. Join both the palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. And very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palm, open up the eyes. Start coming back. Namaste to everyone. Let's begin today's session. So we have been, if you feel that to follow the path of karma or bhakti yoga, you guys can definitely already start your work. And today we are going, I'll just write it down in the chat box. Jnana, Jnana Yoga. right? Path of wisdom, also commonly known as the path of wisdom. And this school of yoga is not for a, I mean, like there are beginner level students in the when we follow this school of yoga, but this school of yoga, the person who follows the school of yoga is already little bit developed in their practice already, right? Be it from previous births or due to some very good past actions. For some reason or the other, the path of Jnana Yoga is such that not everybody can begin with it, and even if you do, the realities that you face on your way are so harsh that people end up leaving it, right? So you can begin on the path of Gyan Yoga, even if you know you think it is the one for you, but you have to have a very strong mind and will in order to continue on this path. Hence, mostly you will see Gyan Yogis are born instead of just going on this path. They are mostly born. Why? Because they, even if you look at someone like Swami Vivekanand, he uh, was on the path of yoga from a very young age, and despite getting to know so many realities at a young age, he was still able to continue on his path, right? So that is the thing that I'm talking of when I talk of a Gyan Yogi being born. Why? Because it's hard to follow this path, right? But if you still feel that you want a logical explanation, you want to acquire a lot of knowledge, you can definitely begin on this path. So there is no issue with it, but you will have to maintain the continuity, right? So, uh, Gyan, the word Gyan in itself means, knowledge or wisdom. So you will find both translations. Right now, wisdom, we understand wisdom is something not everybody has, right? All of you can read 10 things, but your own experiences when implement those things in your life, that will form your wisdom, right? Or getting to know about something is not merely wisdom. But still, the word knowledge is used when we talk of Gyan Yog. Why? Because Gyan Yog, see that you need to understand when the term wisdom is being used, it is being used in the form, sorry, the term knowledge is being used, it is being used in the form of wisdom only, right? So it isn't being used in the form of, just merely reading certain things, right? It is being used on a deeper level where, the uh, I would say the knowledge that you acquire, you are going to like actually process that and implement that in your life, right? So path of Gyan Yoga really strongly believes that a yogi can reach the final goal by the various practices that are given in Gyan Yoga and by acquiring by using the mind. So see, um, most yogis, most people who want to practically inculcate or imbibe yoga in their life understand that they cannot immediately be free, and being uh, free from the mind is not the goal, right? Because mind is a tool, right? You and it has been given to you, so you have to make use of it. So right now, because we do not control it, because we are giving it the wrong kind of food, food being you know the engagement of the senses with the sense objects. So because you're giving it the wrong food, not working on it every day, we think that being free from the mind is really necessary. right? But when you come to yoga, you get this realization that it is not that you want to be free from your mind. It is just shifting your habits, shifting your life in such a way that whatever you learn, you are able to implement. And hence, you change the food of the mind. First thing that you do when you come to yoga, you change the food that you give to the mind. And when you change that food, you start seeing, if you are able to implement those things, your mind becomes your best friend. Earlier, it was your enemy. It was running everywhere. It was taking you to 10 different directions, not reaching anything in particular. It was becoming the obstacle. But that same tool can be used to enhance yourself. You have to work on it, right? So being free from the mind is not the goal. So a Gyan Yogi recognizes that the power of the mind is very, very high, right? And so it can be used in such a way to reach the final goal in such a way that, you know, uh, enhancement of the life takes place instead of degrading the life, right? So it is very necessary for the Gyan Yogi to, come to this realization. And when the realization comes, that is when, the knowledge, you know, people can talk of big things, you can hear motivational speeches. But when it clicks for you, that is the knowledge that is being talked of. Even though the word knowledge is used, it is actually having a totally different meaning than what we understand, from knowledge in the day to day life, right? So having that knowledge, right, where you are able to change your life, you are able to enhance your life, is the path of a Gyan Yogi, right? So the main thing that the Gyan Yoga school, the main premise is that we are all stuck in Maya, Maya, or illusion, right? There is so much illusion around us, and the mind is completely absorbed in this illusion, right? Whenever we have talked of you, we talk of we talk of the fact that material things do not matter, or don't run after the material world. But it is in itself, you know very tempting, and hence this Maya or illusion is very tempting, right? So am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this Maya, even though we see it, we face it in our day-to-day life, we are unable to get out of it. That is the hold, the grip of this illusion on us, that even though we know certain things are good for us, like, take a very simple example. Somebody who is, you know uh, maybe gaining weight. Very simple example. Somebody who is gaining weight knows that they need to go and walk or run every day or exercise every day, right? But they are unable to do it. So it is the grip of the Maya which keeps us trapped in this entire circle, where we are running after one thing, then after the other thing. So like this, depending on what desire rises within us, we are running after that thing. Once we achieve it, then another desire rises up, we start running after it. So entire life we are running after things because the grip of the illusion is so good, right? And if you are enjoying the material world so much, there is no way in which you would want to step into spirituality. Even Osho said this thing, that suffering is such an important part if you want to uh, come on the spiritual path. Why? Because it is nature's calling to you to come on the spiritual path. If you are enjoying the world, if you're enjoying everything that the world has to offer to you, and you do not suffer at all, then there is no way in which you will ever find the motivation to do something as, monotonous as meditation, right? Or as boring as yoga. Yoga is very boring, right? A normal person wouldn't, right? Sometimes you will meet a lot of people who are just like, we don't want to do yoga, right? So they know how monotonous it is. You know how monotonous it is. Your asana part, maybe it is quite engaging. Pranayama still engaging. All of these things are still engaging. But if you go into the real practices of yoga, where a lot of depth is acquired, you probably would not want to do them for a long time. Why? Because they are boring, right? And nature knows that, our uh, uh, way of understanding. So whenever you face suffering in your life, it is the nature's calling to you to, opt for the spiritual path in order to find the reason for that suffering, and in order to be free from all the sufferings. The nature wants us to be liberated, right? And we can choose our own path from there. So some people, when they suffer, they go and they drink a lot. Some people, they go and they smoke a lot, right? So we have, some people go eat a lot. We all have our different ways of coping up with what we face in life, right? But it is actually the nature, calling out to you to finally understand, right? That no matter how happy you get, after a while, it is going to be temporary. Whatever the world has to offer to you, it's only going to give you temporary happiness. It will not give you lasting happiness. And what you are looking for when you suffer is that lasting happiness, something which is going to last longer than the few seconds or few minutes of rush that you get in the mind, right? And hence the Gyan Yogi has this very clear understanding of how this illusion can trap you, right? And as long as you enjoy the illusion, it's all right, it is good. But the day you begin to suffer, that is the day that you know make a choice. You always have a choice. You make a choice. Do you want to go this way, or do you want to go that way? One will uplift you, one will take you, drag you down, right? So Maya is that illusion, and the only way to get out of it, as per Gyan Yoga, there are many um, different processes that it has given, but one major thing overall the school says is Vivek. Discrimination, your power of discrimination. Vivek, right? And this thing, this is the only thing, which the Gyan Yogi mostly focuses upon, right? Developing and working more and more on this Vivek part, where they are trying to develop their own, uh, you know, power of discrimination. This power of discrimination is going to, actually help them to understand what is real, what is unreal, what is right, what is wrong, what is permanent, what is temporary. All of these things, all of these realities are exposed for a person who chooses to go on the path of Gyan Yoga, because they are specifically trying to see, trying to understand what is real, what is not real, right? Because if it is not real, then there is no point, right, of going in that cycle again and again. So the Gyan Yogi does deep research, like a scientist. You will see a scientist does various experiments and does deep research on a topic. The Gyan Yogi, the mind is so developed for the Gyan Yogi that they are capable of making that deep research. On your way to spirituality, you will hear a lot of things which are hard to digest, right? When Buddha also came, Siddhartha Gautam, he came, he also talked of, universal truths. And they are harsh to digest when you get to know them. when you get an understanding of those truths, like one of them is, the person who is born is going to die one day, right? So we all know this thing. We don't talk about it a lot because it is an uncomfortable conversation, right? When you talk of somebody leaving you, right? And leaving you like that, right? So no, there's no way in which you can, um, see that person again. Death is a very, uh, very, I would say, a deep topic and not talked of, right? But we all subconsciously know it is a reality, right? It is very hard to hear these things, to actually process these things, because suppose intellectually we can still process it, but when it actually happens with us, we are not able to understand, when somebody from our life they go away, we are not able to understand this thing. So we are not able to understand these things on a deeper level, but the Gyan Yogi is, right? And that leads to, the detachment, the part of detachment. The Gyan Yogi, the only reason the Gyan Yogi can develop such high level of detachment is because there is deep understanding of certain universal truths that exist. You know, we also know, but we don't talk of it. We are so afraid of certain things. We do not talk of them. So, if you are planning to walk on the path of Gyan, you be very mindful that it is going to be very harsh. It is going to tell you the harsh realities of life, and hence one needs to be really prepared when they are, you know, on the path of Gyan Yoga. Not everybody can just go on the path of Gyan Yoga. It is not possible, right? So, in this manner, the Gyan Yogi does a lot of research. I will also be telling you about the different practices that the Gyan Yogi, different things that the Gyan Yogi develops, and then, different practices, yeah, uh, done by the Gyan Yogi, right? So far everything is clear, whatever I talked of, what Gyan is and what the Gyan Yogi, when you walk on this path, what is the Gyan Yogi looking for? Any doubt so far?
A well knowledgeable person, will that be considered as a jnana yogi, or just a spiritual person is considered as a jnana yogi?
See, knowledge of what sense? That is what I'm saying. See, one person can read so much, right? People go take, bachelor's degree, master's, then they go for PhD, then they go for two, three PhD. But isn't like all of that about, how you live your life? Everything in life that we do, is so that, we can live a better life, right? But reading books will of course aid you, it will help you, but if you are not able to implement those things, right, in your life, then uh, you know that person might just be a beginner. But the Gyan Yoga, mainly works on the intuitive understanding, so they deeply understand what is being talked of when things are discussed, when their guru, teaches them, when they read certain texts, they deeply understand what is being said. Sometimes we also listen to something and we have those aha moments, right? And then, there is a before and after in our life, right? Sometimes certain things happen in our life, and our life completely changes. We have those aha moments. So that understanding is the one that the Gyan Yogi is working on. So if a person is working on that understanding, then it is Gyan Yoga. Getting multiple degrees, reading multiple books which do not, like, make your life better, that wouldn't account for a Gyan Yogi, right? That wouldn't count as a person who is a Gyan Yogi, right?
Okay.
You would have, I don't know if any of you have observed, but I have met a lot of, uh, you know, literate fools, right? We all come across such people in our life who have, studied so much, but basic things they do not know. If you do not know how to, um, do basic things which are required for your survival, right? Then I don't think the study that you do can do you any good, right? Why? Because you do not know how to do things, manage things for yourself. If you don't know how to cook something, so if suppose you are alone sometime, so and there is no Swiggy, no Zomato, no or delivery, no McDonald's, nothing, then how are you going to survive? You're going to die hungry. What is that degree or knowledge going to do for you? It is going to do nothing. So inculcating life skills, right, is what is being talked of when we talk of a Gyan Yoga. But of course, there are different steps where they have to read, you know, they have to read a lot, they have to acquire a lot of knowledge. But the thing that they are reading is also, once again, the thing that they are reading is also like connected to the reality, not fiction, not Harry Potter, not all of those things, right? And they believe in the direct human experience. Their direct intuitive experience is what supports whatever they study, right? So they can deeply understand what is being talked of in the book. They just don't merely read it to take a mark, or say I have read these many books or done these many things, right? It's how you live your life, right? So even though Gyan Yoga is might seem like only um, bookish knowledge or attaining a lot of knowledge, it is actually more than that. It works on a very deep level, deep purification of the person who is on the path of Gyan Yoga, right? So yeah, so there are certain steps that we take on the path of Gyan Yoga. But before that, uh, let me again refer to Bhagavad Gita first, because I told you all of these are there in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So if you go to the fourth chapter, you're going to see that that is where um, Krishna ji describes the path of Gyan Yoga to Arjun, right? And he gives proper detailing of the path of Gyan Yoga in the fourth chapter. It has been vastly properly discussed, right? But there are some other chapters also in Bhagavad Gita where certain concepts of Gyan Yoga have been touched upon. So the seventh chapter also, somewhere talks of Gyan Yoga, certain things about Gyan Yoga. So that is another chapter that you can, you know, refer to. And even chapter 16, somewhere you will find some portions of Gyan Yoga even in this chapter, right? So main chapter for you to refer to is the fourth chapter, right? Third chapter is about uh, Karma Yoga, and the fourth chapter is about Gyan Yoga, and there he discusses everything uh, about Gyan Yoga in detail, right? So, yeah, so let's move to the, there are certain pre-practices I can say that a Gyan Yogi begins with, right? And as I explain them to you, you will see even though they are beginner level practices, they are pretty advanced in themselves, right? So it's not like you are, you know, uh, you cannot just see Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. That is why they are easier to do, right? Gyan Yoga and Raj Yoga are slightly more difficult to, follow. In a way, I can say that it is harder for one to follow and stick to this path, right? So, uh, yeah. So the practices that are connected to the Jnana Yoga, they are called four, we can say, steps. First we prepare ourselves, right, when we go on a path. So there are four first four steps, right? So they are called sadhana chatushte.
Sadhana?
Chatushte, I'm writing it down also. SADHANA CHATUSHTAY. Sadhana means uh, discipline, I can say. So, and chatushta means four. So four disciplines, right? So these are the four pillars, right? These form the four pillars for Gyanyu, right? When you are laying down the foundation, you are building up the pillars, right? So you are building up these pillars, and after that, you can go into the core practices where I will be touching upon them if we have time today or tomorrow as we find time. So before going into the core practices, right, we need to prepare ourselves, and these are the four pillars that are there when we talk of Gyan. So first one is discrimination or Vivek. Once again, I've already written it in the chat box. VIVEK, Vivek or discrimination. Again, initially when the Gyan Yogi begins on the path, they immediately start working on this because the relevance of Vivek is too much when you come on the path of Gyan, right? So the Gyan Yogi immediately starts working on the development of discrimination, where they try to understand what is real and what is unreal, right? What is permanent, what is temporary. They want to gain an understanding of that, and on an initial level, of course, reading certain texts, yeah, reading the Vedas, the Upanishads, will give you a very deep insight into what is, what we perceive as real, what is Maya, what is, what are all of these things. So when you get to know about something, right, then you are actually able to see it in your life as well, right? So suppose in philosophy class someday we discuss something, then you are doing that same thing in your life or doing something in your life, and suddenly you can see how that cues in. So same way, the Gyan Yogi reads up a lot, tries to understand as much as possible, and then they are able to see how it is actually true in their life, right? When that is the great part of universal truth. When you get to know about the universal truth, then there is no way in which you cannot like unsee it, right? So earlier maybe your entire life is about building it up in such a way where everything you feel is permanent, right? So you're making all the decisions where you think this I have to acquire, this I have to acquire. But after a while, you see that you get to know the impermanence of life. When you meditate a little bit, you see how your breath keeps on changing time after time. You see all of these changes, right? When you do meditation, you begin to also experience. So meditation is the experience that you add to this knowledge, right? Whatever you discuss in philosophy, you are actually able to practically experience that in your meditation classes. So when you experience that thing, that is when it is very hard for you to unsee it. Now suppose something happens, right? You get angry, right? And earlier you used to burst like anything, but now because you have started hearing, you have started practicing yoga, you know, somewhere in between your anger, you will think that, you know, even this is going to change. This is also impermanent, right? So that thing is going to work on, this is your discrimination being developed, right? It is going, your anger is going to go at a very small pace, right? A very slow pace, right? Pace is going to be very slow. Maybe now you get angry for 9 minutes, earlier you used to get angry for 15 minutes, right? Or 10 minutes, now 9 minutes, right? But you are gaining that experience each and every time you practice yoga, you come in your philosophy classes, you come in other classes, you experience that thing, right? Where you are able to see the impermanence and you are able to, you know, breathe through it, right? So this is the Vivek that I'm talking about, not merely listening in the philosophy class. Of course, I give you certain tips and tricks when I teach certain things. I do add certain tricks that see all of these things developing in your asana, pranayama classes, in your meditation classes. You will see these qualities develop as you go deeper into the path of you, right? So when you uh, develop discrimination, then second thing that you have to work on developing is vairagya. Vairagya, VAIRAGYA, or discrimination. Oh, sorry, detachment. Yeah. So once you start working on your, you know, Vivek, on your discrimination, you will see, like I'll give you example right now. So earlier you used to get angry for 10 minutes, now only 9 minutes. So when you develop this discrimination and it actually starts, you know, getting imbibed in your life, you will also see that you are a little bit detached from things now, right? Just that 1 minute of detachment from anger. You moved away from anger just for that 1 minute. Earlier it used to be 10, now it is 9. So you are detaching yourself from that 1 minute of anger now. So your non-attachment, or the, you know, uh, feeling of detachment immediately, it doesn't mean that you are cold, you are totally, you know, thinking of ignoring something, or, you know, completely getting, you know, that now I'm not going to interact with the world, I'm going to go into isolation. No, right? You see it happen. Your anger, when it reduces, the few seconds for which you reduce it, the few seconds for which you develop that patience, or that easily the anger, you know, comes down, that is the detachment which came out of the knowledge that you acquired. When you understood that, you know, your emotion is also going to be impermanent, then it began to reduce, right? And that is the detachment that is being talked of when we talk of detachment, working on the detachment. So more and more knowledge you acquire, you know, process that thing and do that thing in your life, you see that you are getting detached from the impurities. You are getting detached from, you know, on a physical level, you are getting detached from the material things. Earlier you used to get upset if you didn't get 10 things in your breakfast, right? Maybe you are that person who likes having a good breakfast, or you can tune anything that you really like. But now, as the discrimination develops, your attachment will begin to reduce from any material thing or anything which is understood by you as being impermanent, you will start to detach from those things. Now the attraction towards having a big house, a big car, these things start to slowly come out of your system. Why? Because any which way, even if you are able to possess all of these things, and I'm not saying it is wrong or bad, right? But even if you are able to possess those things, your life is not permanent, right? But whatever you are trying to acquire is your vision is towards attaining a sense of permanence out of something which is so impermanent, right? So these things, these attractions start to seem tasteless after a while. You are just like, okay, what is wrong if I do not have this thing, uh, from childhood, because of our environment, because of where we are born, the parents we have, the society we live in. There are so many things we end up getting attached to, right? We want to acquire those things in life, but it isn't us who, we just don't know why we are doing certain things in life, right? And the Gyan Yogi knows why they are doing certain things in their life. And because they know, you will also see that they mostly work towards their own development and enhancement. They work towards reaching the final goal. Because if we knew why we were doing what we were doing, we would probably, if we could introspect that deeply, we would probably leave more than half of the things that we do every day, because they are harming us. We will see how our, the permanence of everything has been instilled in our minds from the very beginning. From our childhood years, we are taught to, you know, do things in a way, deal with things in a way where we think that they are permanent, but they are not, right? Everything changes, and everybody, if you were the highest scorer in your class or the lowest, everybody changes, everybody takes a different direction in life. It doesn't matter who you were at a point of time. Now, who you choose to be is what matters the most, right? That is the impermanence in life, and it is beautiful. Why? Because you can always change. You can always flow with that change and make your life better. Suppose if everything was permanent, think whatever you are currently, that would remain permanent. It's so, like, wouldn't it give you a feeling of being stuck right now? At least, because of this beauty of change, we can get up, make a decision, and change that in our life, right? Just flow with all the changes around us, and find our way within those changes, right? So detachment, this will only come when you increase your discrimination, and detachment begins to come, where instead of passion, now you become compassionate, right? Passionate person will suffer a lot in their life. Why? Because every little thing that is going to come on their way, because they are so passionate about it, it will end up hurting them. There is so much attachment. Whenever you see a passionate person, see how attached they are. We are so attached. If we say that we are not passionate about anything, we are so attached to so many things in our life. So what about a passionate person? If they are very serious about what they do or how they work, and something comes, they are going to go through so much suffering, right? Then the next thing that we actually work on are six virtues. So once you work on your discrimination, which will lead you to detachment, then you start, now, earlier process was more about getting you uh, in the right lane, right? Now you have to walk on that lane. So there are certain qualities that you need to have, right? So these six virtues are talked of when we think of Gyan Yoga. They are called Shat Sampat. SATSAMPAT. Shat Sampat. Now you begin to inculcate these attitudes inside yourself, and you train the mind. So whenever you are working on a particular virtue, you're actually training the mind, right? So you train the mind on cultivating these attitudes so that you can attain more equilibrium on a mental and emotional level, right? So you can attain more, stability, right? Earlier maybe something happened and your emotions went up down, mind went like thousand thoughts in a few minutes, right? Or a few seconds. Now by working on these virtues, you're directing your entire mental emotional energy towards them. So one thing, when you direct, give direction to the mental energy, emotional energy, so it gets, um, if it is let loose, it can go in any direction or up or down, right? But when you give it a particular direction, so you are directing it in a way where, because of this direction, right, you are going to attain some stability, because the place where you are directing it is actually helping you to attain that stability, right? So there are six of these, right? And let me just start, but we won't be able to end, right? So tomorrow we will continue. uh, so first is sama, or yeah, SAMA, controlling the mind. So first you work on this trait where you begin to uh, you will find two meanings. One is tranquility and second is controlling the mind, right? So you are intentionally controlling the mind so that it becomes stable. There is some level of tranquility, there is some level of stability that you work towards when you are developing this attitude, right? So how do you do this? You inculcate a sense of contentment within yourself, right? That is when the mind becomes stable. So right now, because we are not happy, we are not actually content with what we have, the mind runs away, right? Either thinking of the past too much, like what if I would have had this or had that, maybe taken a different decision and acquired that thing, this thing, right? Or it runs towards the future, thinking of imagining scenarios of what would be when I acquire this thing, or how you acquire that thing. So all of this imagination, then you get trapped in that thought. After hours you wake up, right, and realize that right now you do not have that thing, right? So when you work on this control of the mind, or developing this tranquility in the mind, you are actually, working on the sense of contentment that whatever I have and how much I have is enough for me. And even if you don't, just when you say it to yourself, it will, make you feel good instantly. So if you just say that to yourself, like sometimes, we do affirmations, they make us feel so good, right? In that same manner, right? When you say that you are satisfied, you will actually feel satisfied, no matter what you are lacking or what you have. It isn't connected to that. It is a state of mind. And when we are satisfied, when we develop this sense of contentment within, we see that the mind becomes very stable and peaceful, because now it doesn't have to run anywhere. It knows that it, whatever is there, it is enough, right? So this is how you can work on the first of the six virtues, which is your tranquility, shama, right? So tomorrow we will touch upon the other virtues that we have to, work on. The Gyan Yogi, they work on these six virtues, and then I will complete the rest of the, stages as well. right? So any doubts in anything that we have discussed? Are you able to understand what the path of Gyan Yoga is?
What is Sat Sampat? Is it tranquility?
No. Shat Sampat is 6 virtues. Shat means 6.
Oh, okay. That's what. Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Shat Sampat, 6 virtues. Shama is the first one.
Okay.
And then all right. So if there are no doubts, I will close the session. Right. Okay. So back and neck straight.
One more question, please.
Yeah.
In nowadays, like everybody will say, like, if you don't desire something, like, you won't get it. But if we have no intention in life, our life will become like, we won't attract anything in our life, isn't it? So it looks like it's very contradictory to the law of attraction. How does that work?
See, that's the thing. Whenever we talk of law of attraction, we are trying to attain something, right? And hence we get attached to that thing. So you are still, working on the material, right? Whenever we talk of attracting something to ourselves, so most people don't know about law of attraction, but any which way they are attracting something or the other, right? So that is what I'm saying. All of this, the law of attraction, if you will meet someone who practices law of attraction a lot, I am telling you 110%, they are going to tell you that a lot of thoughts haunt them, because only a very little part of the population who is practicing law of attraction knows the right way of practicing, right? Others are just going haywire, right? Because they don't have any control on their thoughts. They don't meditate, they don't do other things, they do not work on the little things. So just thinking of one thing again and again, and repeating it, sometimes it can also drive you mad, right? And that is what you want to be free from, right? So law of attraction, as appealing as it is, and you know as fruitful as it is, when you talk of yoga, you are not looking for that, you are looking to rise above it. Because any which way, someone who knows or doesn't know, they are at all times attracting something that is happening in their life. They do not recognize it, that they are the point of attraction for that thing, but they are, right? But the yogi wants to be free from all of this, because the yogi knows that it is a cause of suffering, you know again and again asking for something, wanting something, creates a lot of attachment and suffering within. And your aim when you come to yoga is to get out of these things, not go deeper into these things. So it doesn't mean that you will not attain things in your life. They are bound to come if you are working on yourself, and if you are constantly working on making yourself better. If you are better, you are of course going to have something better in your life, because everything outside of you is a reflection of everything that is within you, right? So any which way, if you are putting in the work, you are going to uh, attract the best, right?
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have to work on that. Is why we are studying you. We have to come out of it, right? This is Maya.
Okay.
So let's end today's session. Now back neck straight. Just gently close your eyes. We'll chant Om one time, followed by three Shanti. Inhale. palms together. Keep them on the eyes. And very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palm, open up the eyes. Come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. I will see you all in the afternoon for your pranayam class. Om Shanti and bye bye.
Bye.